Tommy, bud, how we doing?
Oh, hey, man. Sorry, I had to take my Gen 3 AirPods out. I was sitting here listening to this banger that came out today. It's sick. You know, right?
No, I today.
Oh my God, you didn't hear about the release today? You didn't hear about this? Okay, so you remember a few years ago, right, guys? Scott, I know you know. Danger Mouse did that mashup of the White Album and Jay-Z's Black Album. He formed the Gray Album, right? You remember this?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Guys, he's
Mashups
done it
so hot.
again.
Hot.
He's changing the game again. It's unreal. This time though, he went, instead of just like rock and rap, he went rock and fine American cinema. Okay, you remember the movie Roadhouse?
Sure.
Yeah. So if Scott, you didn't say anything, so I'll refresh you, just top of my head here. In the movie Roadhouse, Patrick Swayze plays James Dalton. He's a professional cooler, a specialized bouncer with a mysterious past who's enticed from his job at a club in New York City by Frank Timon to take over the security of his club/bar, the Double Juice in Jasper, Missouri. Things get crazy from there, and it gets wild. So what Danger Mouse has done, he's just released the mashup of the Beatles and Roadhouse. It's called Abbey Roadhouse. And it's just as good as it sounds, guys. All right. I was a little unsure at first. Okay. Come together at the Double Deuce. It's a little uninspired, but things really start to pick up at O Dalton. And by the time we get to I Want You, He's So Swayze, it's like you are sitting in James Dalton's 1986 560 SEC, just jamming. But guys, the piece de resistance comes with Carry That Trach, which it really pinpoints the part where Patrick Swayze punches out a man's throat in the movie. So, boy, you've got to carry that trach. It's unbelievable mashup. You guys got to check this out.
I definitely do.
That was a long journey for a Swayze bud.
That's only because anytime I've called you Patrick Swayze is because you've had too many drinks.
Good evening. Thanks for tuning in to spend some time with us tonight. I hope you have a cold glass handy of whatever it is that makes you happy as we attempt to bend back the tulips and take you here, there, and everywhere across the Beatles discography. Welcome to Blotto Beatles. This is episode 7, and if you don't know, we are respected the world over as the leading inebriated intellectuals of Beatles broadcasting. We are a podcast where a couple of friends have a couple of drinks and come together to discuss and rank a single Beatles song. I'm Becker, and we are still broadcasting separately, but there are some rumblings about coming together to record in person, live from the Ringo Bar. So please stay tuned for that. I think that's going to be big fun. But
yeah,
some jokes and stuff aside, I want to pull back the covers and let me slip out of this Sgt. Pepper's uniform and into something a little more comfortable.
Ooh.
This is episode 7, and we've been off and running for a few months. But this week, we just officially released our first episode. So thanks to anyone who has listened to that episode or tuned in at any point. It's been great for this to just come into the world and for us to like really focus on this personal piece of work. And I've been really excited to be doing this. You know, for me, this is so different than putting out music or something like that. Like you're trying to be honest, and we have the sort of get to hide behind the lubrication of alcohol, but it's just been really amazing to put this all together with you guys. And so I wanted to bring in my co-host, the Fool on the Hill himself, Tommy, and get your take. How are you feeling now the podcast is out in the world?
Yeah, I 100% agree, man. And I think at the end of the day, one of the things I keep coming back to is the fact that I'm hanging out with two of my best friends in the world, and we get to, once a week or once every other week, just kind of put a halt to the world around us and all the craziness that is going on, and do something that feels pretty normal, which is something we've done since we were, 21 years old, having a couple drinks and having silly conversations about rock music. So I'm really, really appreciative of the people that we don't know also that have just reached out and said, like what you're doing, loved the teaser, loved episode 1. And I'm just excited to keep this journey going.
Absolutely. I feel exactly the same. Just one person, 2 people, 20 people listening to it. The numbers have been surprising me every time it ticks up. And so I appreciate every listen. We are also here virtually with our executive producer, the George Martin of New England, Scotty C.
Good evening.
Scotty, are you drinking anything this evening?
Surprise, surprise, I am. It is the old standby, Jameson Irish whiskey.
Jameson.
I know you asked if it was triple casked, and it doesn't say on the bottle, but it says it's triple distilled. I don't know if that's the same thing or not. I'm not really too...
Jameson, get at us. Let us know. What's first triple cast versus triple distilled? What do you got over the Slane? Like Slane versus Jameson. I mean, you guys tell us. You convince us what we should be drinking.
That's a heavyweight fight, right?
Mm-hmm. You're our alcoholic lighthouse out there in the dark distance, Scotty C. I just love that we can count on you to just be coming through on the Jameson.
Thank you.
Tommy Bud, are you having any drinks this evening?
Yeah, it's summertime, guys, and while we are about really 12 weeks behind from where we're recording versus when this episode will appear to you, in 12 weeks, it'll still be warm outside, and so it's time for a classic. I'm going with a gin and tonic to start this evening. We're doing the Beefeater gin, a little diatonic. I'm watching the waistline, a couple limes in there, keeping it citrusy and fresh. But on deck, I'm excited because I've got what I would consider to be a classic craft brew here, the Mayflower IPA out of Plymouth, Massachusetts. Oh. They do a nice job. They've always done a nice job. I've enjoyed this beer for years. Anytime I darken the door of some pub somewhere, and they've got the Mayflower on tap, I'm always happy to see it. It's just, maybe one of the first kind of citrusy, fruity IPAs that I had that New England taste that everyone has taken hold of. So I would consider Mayflower to be Pilgrims in craft beer work.
Every sip tastes just like a little bit of Plymouth Rock.
Yeah, hints of turkey and cranberry.
Just got to lick it.
There goes that sponsorship.
Yeah. How about you, man?
I am also drinking the gin and tonic. I still have a bottle from a couple of weeks ago from the Short Path Distillery near us in Everett. So trying to drink as local as I can through this pandemic, keep my money local. They make a fantastic gin. I'm just doing a gin and tonic. I'm not going to mess around with much more right now. Like you said, it's the summer. I will say a nice little thing to spice up your gin and tonic, Tommy, is I would think about getting a couple of juniper berries. They're just dried. They're in the produce department. Sprinkle them in there. Just gives a little bit more kick. And I think it makes a pleasant cocktail.
Yeah.
I think if you add the juniper berries.
What aisle of Walmart can I get those in?
It's right next to the propane canisters that you go camping with.
Great
All right,
value.
I got it.
Great value.
I think if you add juniper berries, you can consider yourself a mixologist.
I don't even need like a smock or anything or a torch.
Well, I've assumed you're wearing the smock. You're wearing the smock now.
Is there such thing as a local Irish whiskey? Is that not possible?
I think it's impossible.
I think you just found a hole in the market, my guy. Let's do this.
Hey now.
Blotto
Sorry,
Beatles
guys,
brand.
I got to take a hiatus.
Yeah. Anything that comes up on Blotto Beatles, we also own collectively the copyright. So
yeah,
we also
pending,
get if we get sued for anything, we also have to pay out any sort of issues collectively.
Our legal
I also
fees
had-
are about to mount up. I'm pretty sure the cease and desists are going to come strong in the next few weeks.
I also have on deck a classic local brew from Massachusetts. I have a Jack's Abbey Maybach Hurts Like Hells, which is a Keller beer in line with sort of that straight up. I've said it a couple of times. When I just want a straight up beer, I think about Helles beers. I think about Pilsners, and that is right in that wheelhouse. So I am
Keller,
about
bro.
to crack into that. I think it's cocktail time is probably coming to an end, and I think that's what's going to get me through.
Love it.
Keller.
Tommy, I know we usually move along, but if I could just have the floor for 1 second, if you don't mind. And
I'll allow
I just
it.
want to speak directly, to the audience and say, dear listener, if I'm not honest with you, I don't know who I can be honest with. So I knew this time was going to come, but I was sort of hoping it wouldn't be so soon. It seems I owe you and Tommy and Scotty here an A-Paul-ogy.
We're so sorry, Uncle Albert. All apologies. We're so sorry, Uncle Albert. All apologies.
My comrades here were, I think, nice enough not to mention at the time, but I have to admit, and I want everyone to know, I mean, this is the hazard of the job, is that last episode, I had to gracefully bow out. It might have been a bad batch of the Casamigos, or it may have been that we hit the mystery word 4 times. So I will also say that I had possibly mentally checked out maybe 20 minutes before that. So we haven't heard the episode back yet, and I'm excited. But if you have got through from episode 6 into episode 7, I am still alive, and I'm here with you to get through the end. So thanks to my team here and our special guest Mike for seeing this thing all the way through. I will say that I didn't get it to put a strong vote in for the list, but I think that's just the way this is going to go.
Yeah, and we'll talk about the list later and maybe how we both feel about it. The great news, though, is you, through Zoom, physically showed us you were doing okay through a series of thumbs up. And we all felt really comfortable with that. I think it's probably much akin to what would have happened if Ringo had fallen asleep behind the drum set. George would have said, just give me a thumbs up, friend. And a thumbs would have come up and they would have known their pal was okay. So we're glad you're all right, man. We're happy. We're back here for episode 7.
And then I think the version of a text to your wife, if you're healthy, is sending Mal Evans home with a note.
Yeah, that's the
the Beatle version of a
1967,
text.
Check your husband. Malcolm, put down the bell. We're not doing Maxwell Silverhammer right now. We need to check on Ringo, Malcolm. All right. So, Becker, I appreciate the apology, and it's really unneeded. This is a show of good friends having a good time together, and, all is forgotten, both literally and figuratively.
I did not have a good Sunday, if that amounts for anything.
I believe you, yeah.
Here's the deal, though, man. Some people might not know what happened last week because we need to understand that every episode might be someone's first. And with that understanding, I think we also need to understand that sometimes people just click on a link to get here, and someone might have just really been attracted to the word Blotto without knowing who the Beatles are. And so sure. let's give these new listeners just a taste. Becker, tell me, who are the Beatles?
Thank you. Thanks for the opportunity. I know we've had some miscommunication here, but Tommy, I have got you this time. And
all right,
let's go off mic for one quick second. These guys, they have an album called Abbey Road, right?
Yeah, that's them. You got it.
Okay, I'm good. All right then, the Beatles. Raised in the California sun, this red-hot band combined funk, rap, and rock like it was blood sugar and sex magic. They crossed Abbey Road in only their socks. But you'll get a kick out of this one, guys. The socks,
hey, man.
they weren't on their feet.
No, I know. Oh, boy. I know who you're talking. Scott.
Yeah. Abbey Road. Yeah. I said Abbey Road.
Yeah.
Yeah. Abbey Road.
It's the
you said it right.
Red Hot Chili Peppers, man.
The hits were like Blue Jay, Give It Away, Rubber Soul to Squeeze,
yes.
and Under the Bridge by a Fountain.
Dude, it's
no. You know this one. The lyrics go, "Obla dee, obla dabba dabba ding dong." Ladies and gentlemen, the Beatles.
One of these days.
Wow. I like it.
All right. I think, my friends, it's time to talk about the rules of the show. And it is our 7th episode. I'm going to try and keep this concise at this point, because if you have been here for the 6 previous episodes, you know where we stand. And if this is your first time with us, well, welcome along to the Magical Mystery Tour. Here's the deal. Every week, executive producer, the George Martin of New England, Scotty C, picks a Beatles song for us to discuss. He alternates between albums. He tries to alternate between composers as well. He throws it out a few days beforehand. Becker and I have a couple days to have a cocktail and mentally muddle our way through the song and what we think about it. And we're here to discuss it, and at the end of the song to rank it in a definitive canonical list of Beatles songs when you've had a couple drinks. We're going to agree, we're going to disagree, and we're going to have plenty of regrets along the way, because that is what happens. Along the way, also, Scott has picked, unbeknownst to me or Becker, a magical mystery word for the evening, akin to your Pee-wee's Playhouse special word. If either of us say it, the show immediately halts. We got to put down a drink. Those are the rules.
One day I'm going to pick magical.
Hey, executive producer Scotty C, you manhandled this episode. Why don't you tell us a little bit about the song you picked?
I'm ready. I'm so ready. I love this song. It's because.
Because why?
The song title is Because.
Oh, okay. I got you.
I don't know why I'm saying it like that. Because. Either way you say it, it's the same song. And it's off Abbey Road. It is the one song before the medley starts. This is a absolutely gorgeous song. Hearing the voices, they had the 3 of them singing around a mic like they did in the old days. There was no individual mic singing it and dumping them on tracks. They had to do it together because they only had a certain amount of tracks left, and they did it 3 times. It took them forever. Ringo was on their side, pumping them up, being like, keep going, guys, keep going. Everyone was so pumped for this magical moment. And I love stuff like that in the studio. One of the reasons why I picked this song, though, real quick, I received a very kind gift from Becker, one of the co-hosts, in the mail. And it was so exciting because I got something in the mail that said executive producer Scotty C. And I was
worried it was going to bounce and your mailman wasn't going to believe you. Like, he's no executive producer.
What is this? I opened it up and it was this amazing book, this excellent book called Solid State, written by Kenneth Womack, no relation to Bobby that I know at least. And it is about this very album, Abbey Road, and the reason why it's titled Solid State is because Abbey Road, the EMI studios, had upgraded to a solid state mixing board as opposed to their valve or tube mixing board they've been using for years, and it had much more bells and whistles, and it changed the sound of Abbey Road, and some people might hear it and some people might not, but Abbey Road has a much crisper, clearer sound, and the frequency range and the things you can hear and the abilities that they could add more tracks and really dial in their sound. And nothing more than this song shows that, with the harpsichord and John's composition, which is funny that it came from a Beethoven piece. It was inspired by a Beethoven piece that Yoko was playing on the piano at home, I guess, and he was like, "Oh, that's interesting. Let's play around with those chords." He ended up coming up with this song. However they do it, I don't care. This is beautiful. I love this song.
Scott, before we listen to the tune, I just want to let you know, I got a notification today that due to the pandemic, my gift to you has been slightly delayed on Amazon. So it should be there any day now, all right?
What is it, like what is it, sirloin steak?
Yeah, that's yeah. Omaha Steaks has really been slowed down. I'm sorry.
Is high. Love is old, love is new.
I love people sharing a microphone. I love the vision of multiple people singing. There's the Talking Heads song where he says, "Sing into my mouth." Like, I always just think about that when people are like sharing a microphone. So I love the idea that those guys are getting together, working through this and making sure that they're all sort of, like pitch perfect together. And I believe this is the last song that they all recorded together.
Yeah.
So I think that feels really, really good, also through the lens of time to say, this is how they went out, and you said it in the intro, Scotty, and I thought it was George Martin has, and I don't know if it's during an anthology or if I read it later, but basically they're like, oh, everyone had to do their part. And even Ringo, because we didn't have click tracks yet. So Ringo like clapped hands or like he banged a hi-hat or something in the back to keep everyone on time. I think it's so funny to be like, oh, we're all out front doing amazing things. And like Ringo is a click track. Like that's the luxury that George Martin and the Beatles have,
I think it's one of the things I kept coming back to. I've listened to, as we've started this, a lot of Beatles interviews from while they were in the Beatles, after the Beatles. One of the things I've picked up as a theme for John Lennon is that in his hindsight, he's always saying like, Paul's writing his Engelbert Humperdinck songs, his like poppy boppy tunes, and I'm writing rock and roll songs. And when he talks about rock and roll, he's talking about the early rock, that thing that he was drawn to from Elvis or Little Richard or whatever, that he kind of takes forward, especially when we see him doing a couple live shows, Plastic Ono Band or whatever. But, John can say that after the fact, but you look at this song and it is one of the last John Lennon Beatles songs. It is not a 12-bar blues song. It is a lush song focused on Beethoven, right? On Moonlight Sonata. And that he's kind of riffing off of that to get this lush vocal piece. And I think like that, we look at the Beatles interviews and that hindsight piece just stuck out to me.
Part of what we've talked about with the Beatles, and even when we compared them to the Stones and what have you, is what pop band, what rock band can release a song like this?
Yeah, that's
and
perfect
and I mean, and have the end product and the reaction that we're having now, even many years later, on it, on being such a masterpiece.
Yeah, imagine a pop band now just being like, here's Because. Like, it would just be immediately discounted.
Because by the Jonas Brothers.
I thought when you were talking about the John stuff, you were going to say one of the notes I have, but you can find John almost discounting his lyrics for every fucking track that he does. And for this one, there's a quote. He did some radio interview, and he's like, the lyrics are clear, no bullshit, no imagery, no obscure references.
But wait, what?
And I don't believe him. No. I just don't believe him at all, because
the world is round.
it turns me on. No, because if you think about the fact that John Lennon is in the throes of heroin addiction during this, this could absolutely be a heroin song if you think about it lyrically. And you think about the sort of the bass, the childness of it, you know. And I don't mean that as any negative, but I also don't take it as just being that tossed off.
Yeah, I was really looking at the lyrics too and trying to figure out. Okay, so there's every phrase has a double entendre to some degree, right? Like the world turns me on, right? Like the world turns, so it turns me on, right? The wind blows, so the wind blows my mind. The sky is blue, and you take that word blue, and so blues, it makes me cry, all that. So, okay, there's that like double meaning thing that John does. And there's, I think we can all establish there is deeper meaning than that to this song. But what is it? I don't know. I'm not positive.
Yeah. I don't either, but does John not seem super genuine when he sings?
Yeah, he does. I'm not discounting it at all, and I'm not trying to belittle it at all. I'm just trying to get behind like, okay, so sometimes writing a song, there's not a specific meaning. You're going to just parse words together. This seems like there's more there, and I've always tried to figure out what is the more, and I don't know that I can put my finger on it.
I know always, you know, the forensic Beatles fans are always like, oh, this John is singing to Paul and Paul is singing to John, like even during the Beatles tunes or whatever. But I feel that sort of that, the bridge part or whatever, where it's love is old and love is new.
Yeah.
Love is all and love is you. Like, we should get the count, but how many Beatles songs have love in it?
Right.
Like, all you need is love. Love me do. Like, you know, like, is this the final statement on love? Is this a little bit of a goodbye to the fans, a little bit of a goodbye to Paul? Like, you know,
well, I think personally, I mean, this might be
yeah.
easy. I think it's Yoko, right? Like,
Sure.
I think he's talking to Yoko here, and especially when you look at how he wrote the song and where it came from. But I wrote those lines down, Becker. And love is old, love is new, love is all, love is you. It is so simple, and it is everything. Is what I wrote.
Powerful.
That is everything right there.
So powerful.
What else do we need?
And that's where I think when he's saying like, all right, it's no obscure references, like I'm telling you what it is. But when we have the sort of biography of things way later, like I think you get to look into this a little bit different.
Yeah,
you
of
know?
course.
No other Beatle can say those lines and have that weight behind it and have that meaning behind it.
For sure.
You know what? I hate to argue with you, Scotty. I'm going to say George could have said that, and we would have assumed it was to God. Right? Like I really think so. I'm not even joking. Like love is all, love is you. Like that could have been all things must pass.
But that's not an. I mean, I don't want to argue either. But
So guys, do I have to break
that
this
is
up?
not an all-inclusive thing if it's about God.
Listen, I'll say whatever you want me to say, or I won't say anything at all. If it will, whatever will please you, I will do. Okay.
You want to stay on this podcast?
I'll see you boys around the clubs.
Listen, hire Clapton. I'm out.
Yeah, I mean, you know, I don't think there is the grandiose statement here. I think there is, you know, four men that love each other coming together to put this tune together around John's song. I think there is some sort of earlier version of this around that he played on something, but I have not. I actually did not listen to it.
I haven't heard that.
Yeah.
There is some sort of home recording maybe of him.
Yeah,
saying,
so it's harder to imagine this song. It's harder to imagine it completely on its own. So it you know, for it to have come together and them to make it what they did, I think is pretty impressive. But right, they brought it in and are they thinking about the context of the album and what this needs to sound like and where it's going to fit, and once George Martin gets his meaty paws on it, you know.
Yeah, it's probably a fault of mine that I'm always looking for a theme or
I think that about you a lot.
What? Yeah. No, but like I'm looking for like the story or the theme or the message. And I do pinpoint what we talked about. That love is old, love is new. That kind of bridge there of, all right, there's a simplicity there, and that there is a message there. I don't necessarily know how that connects to the verses with "The world turns me on" and "The wind blows my mind" and all of that. Like, all together now, what is this saying? And maybe it's not saying anything, and maybe that's okay, right? It's a stream of consciousness sort of thing, or an observatory sort of thing that doesn't have a grander message than the words on the page.
I have this little acoustic version here if you want to hear it.
Yeah.
Let's give it a try.
The world is round, it turns me on.
This guy's on drugs.
Because the world is round.
Well, it's funny. So I did hear a John Lennon interview about this where he's saying, like, I have this idea for a song. I had this Beethoven thing. I had the basic melody of what I wanted my vocals to do. And I knew I wanted harmonies, but I really only know the root, the third, and the fifth. Though that's how I know how to sing. And so I said to George Martin, you figure it out. And he plotted out the harmonies for us and figured that out. And it's, how important is George Martin in this whole thing? It's amazing.
At some point I get grumpy with George, but I need to remember that clearly they wanted him there. Like, they had all the opportunity to work with someone else. There's a note I have down for Abbey Road is George Martin's quote about them sort of breaking up or whatever. And he talks about basically that they sort of knew it during it, but he says, I wasn't all that surprised that they'd split up because they all wanted to lead their own lives. And I did too. It was a release for me as well, which I think is really kind of an interesting angle because, like, he's not a Beatle, they very well could have been like, okay, we're going to record in LA one day. But clearly they all had daddy issues and they all needed to keep going to Abbey Road. And there's something heavy to that's never, they can't even record music at Twickenham Studios, right? They're like, this is crazy. We got to go home, So there's something there, and George, I guess, being an older man at the time to the Beatles, probably.
Well, he's kind of like a square, right?
Yeah.
Like, to some degree, like this guy is still wearing a suit at this point,
Yeah.
like as they're recording these songs, and like a shirt and tie, and
he's looking down their nose when they're smoking weed in the bathroom. You know it.
Yeah.
You've met this guy.
Yeah, but he, I've never met him, but he,
A guy like him.
he,
I like him.
to the same degree, like there's, I don't know the word to use, like a majesty about the way he can help. It's, whatever Phil Spector's faults, right? Like, Phil Spector knew how to record a song and how to put something together around it. And I think we can say the same about George Martin. He says, like, here's what's missing, or here's what I can add, or here's how I can help. And sometimes it's bringing the full orchestra in, and sometimes it's bringing the horn section in. And in a case like this, he's like, no, this is a song with, three guys singing and a guitar. And if I add this harpsichord, it's going to bring the beauty to the surface and elevate the thing a bit. It doesn't need much.
Yeah, that's what I think the Beatles took this out of him, like as much as he,
his strengths is what brought some of the best parts of this song to its fruition. John wrote a great song. We heard it on the acoustic guitar. I think it sounded cool like that.
Yeah.
And then he said, knowing that he doesn't know everything, he said to George Martin, bring you to this.
Yep.
Yeah.
And honestly, Phil Spector, for what I love so much of Phil Spector's production. I believe he would have ruined this song.
Oh, yeah. He would not have let this vocally breathe.
No, he wouldn't have the room to breathe. That's a great way to put it.
But like George Martin was like recording like classical bands and like comedy albums or something.
It's the magical mystery word. Drink
Classical.
Classical.
Well, you guys just hit the word, and it was no big deal. It's like, carry on now.
Well, we only hit it once. Now that we've done 4 at a time, we know where we can go on it. So.
Tommy's not looking like he's ready to carry on.
Carry on now.
Do you need me to carry that weight?
Carry that way, bro. All right, I think, guys, I don't know if you agree. I think we have said all we can say about Beercause.
That's all. I mean, I could go on forever, but yeah, let's talk about some.
Yeah,
rankings.
you're actually right. I could
I'd
go
like
on
to
for a while,
overdub
but
ourselves.
we
couple
are
more
here for a
times.
specific reason, and that is to rank Beatles songs best to worst. And we have a list. It is canonical. It is one that it stands the test of time. Here's what I want to say, Becker and Scott. You guys have known me for a long time, and you know very well that I have a tattoo on my arm that says "No regrets." And
It's huge, man. Yeah, it's
it just
Your whole
covers
arm.
my whole forearm. It says
the
"No
whole
regrets."
thing, yeah.
And, I'm having a little bit of a regret about last week because I'm really struggling with the fact that I've Got a Feeling is lower than Long, Long, Long. There is something earnest and honest about Long, Long, Long that I still love and I think is more honest to be real, as the kids say. It's more honest than I've Got a Feeling, but I think I've Got a Feeling might be a better song. But here's the deal, guys.
Are we making a list of honesty?
No, but I think at the end of the day, the list stands where it stands, right? That is our philosophy. That is what we
Are you
stand
trying to
by.
veto
I
something?
think it's unfortunate that you chose to roofie me last weekend and I couldn't make this argument, but it stands. Where
No,
it stands.
it was not a roofie. It was that you kept saying rooftop. That's the problem.
Wait, that's what I think a roofie is. What is a roofie? The Beatles played a roofie for Let It Be, no?
So I'd like to start the conversation here. This is because it's a John Lennon song. We've got some John Lennon songs on the list already. I think we can all agree this is better than Tell Me Why, I hope. We can nod our heads at that. So here's maybe the first point of discussion. Is this at number 3 right now? We've got Nowhere Man. Is this a better song than Nowhere Man? What do you guys think?
This is better than all the songs. This is number 1 for me.
Whoa, going in full, all in push, number 1.
Listen to this song with your headphones on. Listen to any of those other songs with your headphones on, and tell me which one moves you the most.
Yep.
And I think it's interesting. I mean, this is a strong argument coming from Scotty because he doesn't
Rank things.
he doesn't rank things, and I don't think that typically Scotty would say that vocals are his primary excitement. I know you don't love. You don't lyrics don't move the needle for you, but I wouldn't say that vocals are your most exciting part musically.
No, I love rhythm mostly, but
Yeah.
I mean that's kind of what's so impactful about this one to me is it's not a rhythmic song. It doesn't even have drums. It doesn't have really any rhythm other than bum 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 bum
Yeah.
bum 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 bum. It sounds like an arpeggiator.
So personally,
But
I'm going to start at the Nowhere Man line. I'm going to say personally it's better than Nowhere Man. Becker, what are you feeling about that?
Yeah, I'm willing to go in on that. You know.
So
I'm taking the angle very much that, I see the notion of all the songs, All My Loving and I see them as sort of contributing to this in the way, like getting them to this moment is how I feel about the list right now.
sure,
And
but
it's
if it gets you to the moment and the
propping them
moment
up.
is the best thing you've done, then that's the best thing you've done, right? So here's the next question. Okay, so we've agreed it's better than Nowhere Man. So now we're moving into some other contributors. Is Because better than I've Got a Feeling? I'm going to say here's what I'm going to say, like maybe with my regrets or not. I do think it's better than Long, Long, Long. And so it's got to be better than I've Got a Feeling by the list.
It's an interesting play. It is better than I've Got a Feeling. And if anything, it is because it's more honest,
Yeah.
I think. I think that this definitely beats out very specifically Paul's part in I've Got a Feeling.
Yeah.
So I think it goes above that. I'm having trouble bumping Long, Long, Long from the top. I like that we've had it there. I like that.
I hear you too, though. Like I honestly, I could go either way on this decision.
I could go either way.
I could too. Excuse me. Love me do. This, I feel like listening to Long, 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 having to focus on it for an episode.
Yeah.
I feel like it really struck us, and we didn't really even know it.
Yeah.
I was not ready for it to be.
I didn't mean to do that. I didn't even know that was going to happen to
Yes,
myself.
you did.
I have a recommendation, guys.
Rooftop.
You ready for my recommendation?
Yeah.
Let's put the pause button on the episode for a second. Let's let our listeners sit in suspense. Let's listen to back-to-back Long, Long, Long and Because and make the call.
Whoa.
Right here, right now?
Right here, right now.
Which one first? Is there that's like a coin flip or
Let's
what?
do Long, Long, Long.
Wow. We're going to the tape. Dear listeners, we're back. We had a little bit of contention, as you know, and we are talking about the first slot, and we just stepped out to listen to Long, Long, Long and Because back to back, and we really encourage you to do the same. And so I think right now, we should just go around and each one of us, without any reaction from the other, give us your 30-second impression and your stance on where this track should go. I'd like to start with Scotty C.
I was coming in strong with Because, and I love Because, but Long, Long, Long has everything I want from a song. And I will just say, with both of those songs, every Beatle is sacrificing their highest level of like musicianship and talent level to play what's just right for the mood, for the song, for the moment. And it's not macho. They're such not a macho band. This is something I just realized now. I mean, maybe they are at times, and especially maybe in the early career or whatever, but it's not about one-upping the other in this like flashy way. It's about doing it in an artistic way, helping each other find each other's artistic, best moment.
So you're calling for this number one?
Long, Long, Long. I'm staying with Long, Long, Long now.
I'm sorry, that's what I meant.
Yeah.
Tommy, your reactions.
Still struggling, and here's what happened to me is listening to Long, Long, Long again. I was like, okay, it's a great song. It is really good. And then it hits that bridge where he says, so many tears I was searching, so many tears I was wasting. And that high, oh. And like, what a pinnacle moment of a song. Like this, like top of a mountain piece of a tune that is reached. Like,
shouting
oh
out.
my God, like that is unreal. Because is probably better all the way through, right? Like from start to finish, it doesn't hit that high that Long, Long, Long does, but it hits. It's a, I don't want to use grading, but it's like a notch above all the way through until that whoa whoa comes in on Long, 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 and then that spikes up above it. That's a mental image that I can't put into good podcasting. So I'm really struggling right now, guys, with this one, and I could really go either way, to be honest.
It's up to you, buddy.
This is a heavy burden to pass down the line.
Yeah.
I'm really glad we did this and listened to them back to back, because hearing Long, Long, Long brought a lot back to the episode, and it made me think about that John didn't show up, but that it was Paul, Ringo, and George really pushing this song through in like a marathon session, and Paul's really encouraging George, and they're really getting there. And that camaraderie and the output of it, I think Long, Long, Long remains at number one for me.
All right.
I'm into it.
So here we go. I'm putting it in the list. Long, Long, Long stays at number one because From Abbey Road is now ranked at number 2. Long, 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 just like a dark horse, not to use a George Harrison term here, but just really coming on strong here at the end. And I'm behind this decision 100%. Hey guys, that's episode 7 of Blotto Beatles. We did it.
Shit.
That's us. We established, we accomplished this. We're here. We've done 7 episodes. We are on all of your favorite podcasting apps, which you have told us, and that is very, very exciting when we look on and we see that on Apple Podcasts or Spotify or Stitcher or whatever else, you guys are listening to us. We love it. We love when you are reaching out to us at Blotto Beatles, at Instagram or at Twitter. And listen, I'm going to do everything I can. These other guys don't care about you. I'm going to be honest, but I'm going to do everything I can to respond or to get your word out there, and I'll let the rest of the audience know what you're thinking. So please tell us what you're thinking, or, you can also drop us an email, long form, blottobeatles@gmail.com. Perhaps you have a full-on complaint, dear sir or madam. I would like to talk to you about the last episode, and we will listen earnestly to that. This podcast is produced, edited, composed, magically assembled by the George Martin of New England, executive producer Scotty C. Thank you so much, Scotty. We have additional music supervision and assistance from our dear friend RB. That B stands for Beatles, and you can follow him at Ryan O. Brooks on all your socials.
Couldn't do it without him.
Yeah, we couldn't do it without him. Huge thanks to him for helping out on this music. You've heard it here. You'll hear it on future episodes. You heard it on previous episodes when we didn't know he was helping us out because we put him in after the fact. So please remember, everyone, this is very important. This show is performed by professionals. Everybody,
Absolutely.
We're home. You should be home. Enjoy Blotto Beatles responsibly. Don't forget also, subscribe, rate us, review us on your favorite podcast app of choice. We're starting to get this stuff in. It's really fun, actually. I think this is going to be a place where we can have a little back and forth, a little commentary. We want to hear from you. We want to talk to you. Let's start a community, everybody. Okay? Let's make Blotto Beatles a thing, you Blotto Scruffs. Peace and love.